I think there's a good shot at 25, 30 states passing this thing. And the federal government's got nothing. They can't do anything about it. I mean, are they going to send U.S. troops in? I don't think so. I mean, U.S. troops really don't want to do that because they'll be met and told, you don't want to do this. There's 2,000 of you, and there's 18,000 of us. Do you really want to go at it? I mean, it's a war you cannot win. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised the states have done this. I think all of this work that we're doing on alternative radio is really starting to work. I mean, that's incredible. I would have never dreamed a year ago that something like that would happen. I mean, it just boggles my mind that finally people, and particularly politicians, are standing on their hind legs and beating their chests and saying, we're not just going to put up with this anymore. I mean, that's really what that is. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yes, I would. What are these states going to do, though, Bob? Because, I mean, they're all in the whole, well, I guess these are mainly states that are not in the red, that they don't need the money from Washington?
Oh, wait a minute. The 46 out of 50 are in the red. So, what is the government going to do? Say, well, we're not going to give you any money unless you don't pass that stuff. Maybe. Sounds like the federal government to me. So they may do that.
Well, yeah, they will.
And it'll be interesting to see if the states back off. Because the people who back off will be replaced. The public will replace them immediately.
Okay, we got another question here that came in. Discount gold and silver. It's Friday. We've had long weeks. We need your questions. Discount gold and silver at yahoo.com. There was a plane crash in Buffalo, New York today. 50 are reportedly dead. According to CNN, there was no communications prior to the crash. Nothing. To him, it had to be some sort of malfunction, like in an explosion. He also heard that there was a female passenger that lost her son in one of the Twin Tower collapses, and she was reported to be close to reopening the investigation. There was also evidence from the Geological Service, the U.S. Geological Service, that picked up ground vibrations 14 seconds before the first plane hit the first Twin Tower, and then picked up a second vibration 17 seconds before the second plane. This can be verified. Can you comment on this issue?
Well, it's technical and I can't, but I can say this. There were 2 Mossad operators on that plane, too. So that ought to juice it up good. Blowing up their own people. The plane was blown up. I mean, it just doesn't drop out of the sky. I mean, you get a warning. You don't get a warning if you have an explosion. And there aren't many things on a plane that can explode. Engines, but you'd know it. I mean, they got more than one. So I think the plane was blown up, based on what I see so far. Of course, the government's never going to tell you the truth. Disgrace. This country is just awful. Today I had 14 requests for people asking me where to move to another country. 14. And the day isn't even over yet. People are concerned. They want out. I mean, they're talking about Panama and Thailand and Belgium and Mexico, Costa Rica, Argentina, Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, It's incredible. And, you know, the thing that you want to do if that's in your mind, number one, if you've got children, you've got a problem, because you've got to be able to support them unless you're independently wealthy. And most countries won't let you go to their country unless you have a profession and are going to invest in a business. Otherwise, they won't give you a work permit. I mean, in Europe, it's almost impossible to get a work permit if you're not carrying a local passport, like, you know, French or Belgian or EU for that matter, which covers it all. And even there are some countries, even if you do have means and want to retire there, they will let you. But there's other countries that welcome you, and it's usually in Central and South America, Mexico. But Europe really doesn't want retirees. I mean, they make it as difficult as possible. And, you know, the rules change all the time. And, you know, we get questions, can I take my gold and silver coins with me? And I have to tell them you have to check with the individual country that you want to go to find out what you can do legally, and then also find out if there's a market for coins there, and some places there is none. And in most countries, they make you check in once a year and tell them if you've changed addresses and so on. And it's pretty easy. Most governments don't bother you unless you break the law. Most countries will not allow you to have a weapon. Some, you can have one in your home, but in your home only for self-defense. Some countries, they'll give you 15, 20 years if you get caught with one in your car. I mean, these are all things you've got to find out. And then you also have to find out the cost of living. If you have children, schools. It's very hard for people who have children to immigrate nowadays. Retirees is different. Most countries just have an income, independent income of $1,200, $1,500 a month, and they'll let you in. And so most Social Security checks, you know, fit in that. And if both people are retired and they're both getting, say, $1,200 a month, that's $2,400, which is way over what you need. You know, those kind of people, by and large, in Latin America, they welcome people, which, you know, helps their economy. And it also, most people who do retire in those countries usually get involved in social things and supporting homes for children without parents and helping the poor and all those kinds of things. And Europeans and North Americans, from my observation in the different countries I've lived in, they just saw something I need here. My observations are that people who do go and live in another place get involved in helping the local poor, because in Latin America there's a lot of poor. And so that's another reason why they're welcomed. So, you know, the best thing to do is, you know, pick a country, pick a city, and then Google it and look at it and see what it sounds like. You talk to the consulate in the United States. There's plenty of them for these different countries. And ask questions. If you live in a big city like L.A. or New York or near Washington, D.C., you can just pop over and sit down and talk to somebody. And they'll tell you all the rules and everything, and they're happy to have you, believe me, because they need the outside income. In Mexico, $25 billion a year goes into Mexico from Mexican Americans and illegal aliens. That money's sent back every year. That's a lot of money. I think it's the second biggest item for income for like Mexico. I think oil is around 38 billion. That's 25. The drug business brings in 20 billion, and tourism brings in 17 billion. And so income from outside is important. And there's an awful lot of people who live outside the country, millions. And I mean, in some areas, there's whole clusters of North Americans and Europeans who live in, some areas. And so I